Interviews are scary. I was very nervous for my interview, and indeed I turned up 2 hours early for it, which did mean I wasn't late, but did mean I had to do some wandering around Cambridge before my interview began. The interviews themselves were quite enjoyable. Obviously, your interviews are going to be around a subject that you enjoy and you find interesting. But I think my enjoyment of my interviews is more in retrospect than maybe it was at the time, because at the time I was mainly just terrified. So, bit of reassurance. Everyone who goes into their interviews are nervous. Your interviewers know that you're going to be nervous, and so they try and help you settle in, stay calm, and that kind of thing. They ultimately just want to learn about why you love your subject and find out how passionate you are to study it. So try not to be nervous, try and take deep breaths, try and go in confidently, but if you are nervous, don't worry, everyone is in the same boat.
Overall, I actually enjoyed my interviews, but I was definitely very nervous at first. I had 2 interviews and they were both quite subject focused, but for the second one I was given an extract to look at beforehand and then we had a discussion based around that. I think by the end of it I had no idea how they'd gone, but they were definitely a good opportunity to discuss some of the topics that I was interested in.
I applied for natural sciences at Pembroke, so I got 2 interviews, one for physics, one for chemistry. In both, more than anything, they were looking at how I think and how teachable I am as the main things that they wanted to test. So that involved me talking about an area of physics I'm interested in and starting a conversation on that, looking at some things in my personal statement and exploring my understanding of those, but then moving into fairly conceptual questions where they might teach me something new and see if I can carry that idea forward.
So for English, I had 2 interviews at Pembroke, both of which started with a unseen passage and discussing it, and then followed by kind of discussing my personal statement and my particular interests. I basically found that my first one was quite harsh, I guess, but not in the way that I built it up in my head. It was more that whenever I would make statements or judgments, I would kind of be called upon it and make sure that I felt strong in those comments that I was making. So a couple of times it did kind of take me aback, but it was nice to have that challenge. I didn't feel like the interviewer was being mean. It just kind of felt like they were just wanting to make sure that I was clear in my convictions, I guess. Whereas my second interview, I found the most relaxed, chill time, literally just sat on a sofa and chatted about a poem for a bit, and then chatted about poets that I liked. So yeah, that one felt a bit more laid back. So I kind of left the interviews having a complete mixed bag of emotions about how they went. I just wanted to add one extra thing about interviews as well. So yeah, one last thing that I'd say about interviews is that if you mention something in your personal statement, like a book, a study, a film, whatever it may be, make sure you know it. In my case, titles that I had mentioned by name, I was definitely asked about. So yeah, there's no point lying about things that you've read or seen or been involved with. Yeah, be truthful.